Hey, what's up? This is Rio, and today we're in a classic, we're in an icon. We're in the Chevrolet Suburban. More specifically, we're in a 2019 Suburban. This is the 11th generation Suburban. That's right, the 11th generation. The 12th generation is coming out as of now, 2021 model year, hitting dealers pretty soon. The Suburban nameplate is the longest standing concurrent nameplate in the entire automotive industry. 85 years that the Chevy Suburban has been around. That's longer than Ferrari and Lamborghini have been around as entire companies. So this is a big legacy to live up to, and today we're gonna take it for a little drive and see how it does. But before we go on a drive, gotta talk about a couple options, features, and trim levels. So this is the LT trim level, which is the middle trim level for the Suburban. There's the LS, the base LS, then the LT, and the Premier. And for the Premier model, you can get a bigger motor, which is a 6.2 V8, the same V8 found standard on the Escalade, the Cadillac Escalade. But this car has the 5.3, which is a standard engine, still a V8, still good for 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque, which is a ton of power, plenty of power. What you gain with the other motor is 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, a little bit more towing capacity. But what you lose is a decent amount of fuel economy, especially around the city. However, it is worthy to note this comes with a 6-speed, the 6.2 comes with a 10-speed, and moving forward in the 12th generation, 2021 and on, even the 5.3 comes with a 10-speed. So that's one change, one difference. Other than that, this particular car is in a really nice silvery gray color, and I forgot the name of the color, but it's a really nice color, definitely better than black, which just looks like a limo. It has the towing pack. It's 4-wheel drive. Something else to note is that all Suburbans, regardless of trim, even a 6.2 liter Premier model, comes standard rear-wheel drive. For $3,000 extra, all of them can be made into 4-wheel drive. This particular car is, in fact, 4-wheel drive. So right now it's in 2-wheel drive mode, 2 high. Then there's an auto mode. Then there's a 4 high and, of course, a 4 low. So that's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of getting these cars with the option of 4-wheel drive. I think it's kind of silly to have a big truck like this and not be able to throw it in 4-wheel drive for certain climates. Although here in Southern California, I understand people that are going to keep them down here not needing it, but it's a nice touch and definitely further opens up the opportunity to use this car in different areas and take it on road trips, which I think is what this car is perfect for. It is a road tripper. That is what this car is built to be. I don't think it's really meant to be a city car. In a major city, it's a pain in the you-know-what to park, to fit into a spot, parallel parking, to fit into a normal parking spot at a mall or at a store. So it really is meant to be used as a road tripper, as a hauler, as a cross-country beast, and to tow things if you ever need to. So this LT trim has leather seats, has a nice Bose audio system. This thing is pretty clean. I'm a big fan of it. Let's take it for a little drive and I'll further discuss what I like about it. This is a real body on frame truck and you feel like you're in a nice, legitimate truck. This thing rides nice and smooth. It has a super long wheelbase. The car itself is almost 19 feet long. So this thing is just pleasantly comfortable and smooth. Suspension is very compliant. It doesn't have the Magna ride that's available in the higher trim levels and in the Escalade, but it's still very comfortable nonetheless. Now, I do want to mention this car's competitors, which I think really are more within the brand itself. So the Yukon XL from GMC and the Cadillac Escalade from Cadillac, obviously. I think those are this car's actual main competitors, people choosing to go up or down market within the same relative family of vehicles, higher trim levels, different engines I mentioned, and also some luxury features and tech features. Many would also compare this to the Expedition and the Navigator from Ford and Lincoln. And those are also, again, siblings within that brand. I'm really a fan of the 3 GM vehicles, the Yukon, the Tahoe Suburban, and the Escalades. Regardless of short or long wheelbase, I just love how these ride, how these feel, and they're quintessential American vehicles. They live up to that legacy, that 85-year-old legacy of Suburban. This lives up to it. You feel it. You feel the lineage when you're driving one of these. You feel like you're in a legitimate vehicle. Now, it has some cool little quirky touches that help it feel special or feel a little bit unique to its competition. So, for instance, it has this cool mirror up here. It's kind of meant either for, I think, limo drivers who tend to use these cars often in that black color that we all know so well, to keep an eye on their passengers. Also for mothers or fathers to keep an eye on their children in the back so there's no shenanigans going on. It also has a neat little function here where you can adjust how high the rear tailgate lifts open. Very convenient if you're going to use this car, park it in a parking garage and you don't want it to open or have a kid open it and hit the ceiling. You can limit that with a button. Nice little touch as well. You also get the Chevy Mylink system here with an 8-inch touchscreen. Mylink isn't my absolute favorite system, and it's a little outdated in certain ways, but the touchscreen's pretty straightforward. It works well, and it gets the job done. Again, just not my absolute favorite user interface in a vehicle. You have 6 analog gauges in it. You have your tachometer, your speedometer, your oil temperature, your coolant temperature, your fuel, and your battery voltage. So you have these really nice analog gauges. On top of that, you have a digital screen in the middle, and you can really mess with it. I have it on digital speed right now, which I prefer, but it has cool little quirks like, well, it has basic stuff like fuel range, oil life, etc. But it also has some little quirky things like engine hours, which is definitely a little funky to have on a car. But if you have that desire, if you're coming over from motorcycles and you want to know your engine hours, you can check your engine hours. So that's a nice touch. You can check your tire pressure. Actually a pretty decent system over here, and I'm a pretty big fan of it. This, of course, has GM's classic OnStar system here in the mirror. It's become a little antiquated in the days of either having your iPhone or just Siri for your needs, but for safety reasons, God forbid you're in an accident, it can alert OnStar and get help sent over to you if you're unconscious or if you don't have cell service. So it's a nice little touch, while it used to be much more convenient probably in the early 2000s than it is today in the modern era of mobile phones. Something that's impossible to avoid in this car is just the sheer size of it. While I love the fact that you have such a nice, comfortable cabin and cockpit, you have a lovely second row. This car has the bench seat in the second row. You can also get an optional captain seats, so one seat on each side and open pass-through in the middle. Of course, there's a third row, and being that it's a Suburban, you have quite a sizable trunk behind the third row, which is really neat. However, it's impossible to avoid looking out the rear window and going, oh my God, the back of this car feels like a whole another car. The window looks really far away in the mirror, and it is just a large car, almost 19 feet long. So there are little things like that start feeling a bit intimidating in the city and traffic, but are not even close to an issue on highways, as you're hopefully using this as intended for road trips or to get around from place to place, haul things around. Now, I do want to mention regarding the size, the mirrors. I think the mirrors look really nice. Aesthetically speaking, they're very appealing. Something I've noticed from driving the new Escalades is they come with a slightly larger mirror, slightly taller, more square-shaped mirror, and that is pretty convenient for getting a little bit more vertical real estate on the mirror and seeing a little bit more behind you when you're such a big vehicle. You have pretty large blind spots, and just in general have a lot of size you're dealing with. The larger mirror is always a nice touch. And on that note, let's do the tall boy test. So this car starts around 57, and this particular car is just a touch over $65,000 when new. I love these because I think they're a tremendous value right now. You could probably find a new 2020 for a killer deal right as we speak, as this year comes to a close and there's a ton of them still in the lots. And you can get a 2016, 17, 18 for an even more ridiculous deal, obviously used. These really can go for quite a while. A lot of people buy these with the intention to run them into the ground, put a couple 100,000 miles in them, put a couple decades in them, put a lot of engine hours in them, and then move on to a new one. So I think that's what they're made for, and that's what they're built for. They're not sensitive little cars, they're trucks, they're meant to be driven, they're meant to be pushed a little bit. Fuel economy is never gonna be amazing with the 8s, even this 5.3 liter 8. However, it has AFM, which is active fuel management, so cylinder deactivation, where it can go into V4 mode and deactivate 4 of its cylinders. So it's 4-cylinder and go back to 8, and you'll see on the screen it'll flash V4 or V8 every now and then. Pretty seamless, but nice touch to help fuel consumption. Now the 10-speed that's found in the 6.2s and now in the new 5.3s moving into the 2021 model year, that's going to do a little better on the highway with those extra overdrive gears, but it's still not going to be the best. It's not going to compete with a more efficient turbo 6 that you can find in your smaller mid-size SUVs, this being just a full-size truck. So in the LS trim, in the base trim, you can actually get a jump seat in the front, 3 across, 3 in the back, 3 in the third. So you can fit 9 people in an LS. In this car, you can fit 8. And if you get the Premier, that standard comes with the captain seats in the rear, you can fit 7, but really you can option that with the bench as well and get 8. It is cool that you can get 9 people in an LS, but I think really most people will stick with this nice cockpit cabin feeling in the front. You also gain, well, you lose with the bench, but you gain in this car a huge center compartment. So storage is abundant in this car, even if it can't fit a tall boy. I mean, the car is a killer when it comes to storage, and there's one storage compartment that's my absolute favorite. It's a little trick that a lot of Chevrolet vehicles, a lot of GM vehicles have, and it's behind the screen, so you can press this button, the entire screen goes up, and you have a little area here you can either hide things, you actually have a USB charger, a USB connector in the back, so you can actually charge things in there as well, but more importantly, you can put things out of sight. If you're parking the vehicle, you want to put a phone to charge, or you can hide other things. I do like how you bring the pedals forward and back. It's a little funky touch, but it's always been on these trucks since a few generations back. I think since the models that came out in the late 90s. And I think a beauty of Suburbans is they're rugged, they're simple, they're not overcomplicated. They're meant to be used, they're meant to be beaten up a bit. I have a hard time doing that because I really love to respect vehicles myself, but they are meant to be enjoyed, and I think it loses its purpose a little bit when you go all about luxury. I think this is a really sweet middle ground, the LT with the 5.3 motor, couple packages like the all-wheel or the 4-wheel drive and the towing pack to give you some functionality while retaining this car's usability and affordability. So other than that, this truck gets a big vibe pass for me. This is a big vibe. I love it. I want one, and I really enjoy what it stands for and what it's all about. And it makes me want to go on a road trip right now. And that's the beauty of this thing, you know? So I would say if you're considering this, your head's in the right place. You should definitely go check out some of the options and package variations, but I think the LT really is the sweet spot of the Suburban line in particular. And if you're more about luxury, then maybe consider the Yukon XL Denali. And then if you're really about it, the Escalade. But on that note, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Tune back in for more. And as always, this is your boy Rio.